Also, let me tell you, living in San Francisco has spoiled me. It really has. It's such a liberal, free culture. You could be like whatever you want. You could dress whatever. I mean, it's actually legal to walk around butt naked in San Francisco, in the city. There's a guy that's known for that in the Castro district. And even all my gay friends are like, he doesn't really have a body to look at, but he does it anyways. That's what they say. So, it's like, man. Yeah, so there's that, and it's also just I have some rejection issues because of my past. I mentioned just it's not that big a deal really. I'm over it. I've forgiven. I let it go. And just letting you know also, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. Jesus is my Lord, and so He teaches me that it's important to forgive, and it's like a daily thing too. And no holding grudges. If you got an issue, you better pray that thing off and really make an effort to forgive people and say it with your words and your tongue and all that. So I've done that, but there's still some struggles. Obviously, I'm not perfect. It's clear about that. Like no one's perfect, but there's just certain things that I sense sometimes because I'm not full Japanese or I don't pronounce words comfortably or that especially now that I barely speak Japanese, I'm not as smooth in my speech in Japanese, in my thinking. It just doesn't come out as fast. So the Japanese people are a little uncomfortable with that as well. And that's another thing, is that Japanese people, like I mentioned, in general, culturally it's a black and white culture. So they're uncomfortable with the gray area. Not just like it's like the gray area is kind of weird. They're uncomfortable with it. So first of all, I'm half Japanese, half white. Puts me in the gray spot, but they already have a spot for me. I'm hafu, and that's cool. And they think it's cool. At least from my experience, from a distance, that's cool. As soon as I'm involved more personally, then that's kind of like, oh, it's kind of different. And also, just I barely have an accent when I speak Japanese, especially when I'm on top of it. I don't have an accent, but the fact that I may not know certain words, and my Japanese is not quite up to that level, and I'm older, so that's pretty gray. I mean, even for some people that live in Japan, they're foreigners, that I don't have an accent, but my Japanese level falls under a 9th grade level. And so for Japanese people, it's kind of like, oh, this kind of makes them uncomfortable a bit. And this may be me being a bit paranoid too, but I know there's still a certain level of that. So if I were to try to work in Japan, I would have to really work on my Japanese. I'm up to a level, like, Hiko Simon does a great job with his Japanese. Give me a break, man. Vic, also. He does a great job. Ciela, I would say Bobby Judo, too. But Ciela, I'm really impressed with her pronunciation. It's awesome how her pronunciation is. But yeah, that's just my frustration. It's just, I know it's my deal, my bad. It's kind of grapey. Yeah, so that's just how I feel, and I think because of that, more and more I have less of an inclination to go back to Japan. I mean, maybe even to visit, which is so weird. I mean, it's so weird because deep down inside, I'm very Japanese. And I say that with pride, not arrogant pride. There's just this assuredness that I am very Japanese. And if someone were to ask me, well, which side do you relate to? Do you relate with your American side, Japanese side? I say both, man. Not half and half. I'm both. I'm both Japanese and American. And I have valid reasons for that, just because of my background. Now, if I grew up in California, then I'd be like, well, definitely more American, because I lived here all my life. But I grew up in a very evenly balanced Japanese and American culture. Parents, schooling, where I lived, TV I watched. So I am Japanese and American. That is who I am. But even my Japanese friends, some the people that really know me, my close friends that are Japanese, they say that I'm like wabi-sabi, which basically means old school, old man Japanese. Just how I think and all that. Maybe that's why all the Japanese girls get scared of me and they run away. Either that I could be kind of intense at times. I know you can't tell by this baby face, but in my happy-go-lucky kind of thing. But I'm an artist. I'm moody. I'm temperamental, and I could get pretty intense too. Let's just say that I'm pretty intense for San Francisco. I probably would fit into New York a lot better. But yeah, I consider myself very Japanese, and at the same time, I don't want to go back home just because me being the way I am, the way I'm made. And I don't have a problem with how I'm made, really. I'm thankful that how God made me. And also as a classical musician too, I can't really make it too well in Japan. That's why most Japanese classical musicians, they go to America or they go to Europe. That's another thing actually. Japanese people that leave Japan. Who said this? I wonder if Vic said this. Yeah, I think Vic did say this, that Japanese. Now, correct me, Vic, if I'm wrong, because I'm very known to being wrong and inconsistent. That's one thing I'm very consistent about, is being inconsistent. Is that Japanese people, because of their hectic lives in Tokyo, I should say, Tokyo people that reside in Tokyo, and other areas that could be quite stressful, that they leave Japan, or they study abroad, or they go overseas just to get away from that. And I know a lot of people that stay in those places. They stay in France, they stay in Holland, they stay in America. They do that because it's a lot easier. And then some of the people are thinking, oh, you lazy asses. No, I mean, there's some unnecessary stress. I'll prove it to you. Stress in the family, one of the most important places in a person's life. There's a bad sense of family in some of the more metropolitan areas because the man has to work. He leaves home at 5 a.m., comes back home around midnight or 1. And it's because he has to work and he has to hang out with people. And the students, they're almost expected to go to school after school, and they come back home at night. So, yeah, there's a problem with that, I think. I mean, and some people may say it's cultural. No, if a people group or certain people have not experienced love before, I think that's a problem. And I'll just say it straight up to some people's faces that that is a problem. If you don't experience love, and those that have never been loved know that that's true deep down in their hearts. And it's incredibly selfish for a man or a woman to do that to their family. So, yeah, and I know this one girl that's said that, honestly say that she's never experienced love before. If anything, I've done one of the more loving things to her just by listening to her. Come on, people, man. Anyways, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to edit this. But if you guys gotten this far, thanks so much for sticking around and listening to me. These are just my frustrations. I may add a few more things if I left it out, but this is basically it. And it's just basically me venting, but me finally vlogging and talking about Japanese culture. Now, if you guys want me to talk about Japanese culture, things, even my experience, if you care to know, it'd be great. But aside from that, let me just re-emphasize that this is my experience. I have a very different experience from the other J-vloggers because a lot of them are Americans or people, or Europeans, other countries, and then they go to Japan. Mine's the reverse. I grew up in Japan, and from my adulthood, from 20 on, I've been in America, and me being an artist, that's an extra there. So this is just my experience. I encourage you to watch other people's videos. Just be sure to understand where they come from. Ciela and Bobby Judo, they live in Kyushu, and that's a lot more different kind of culture, maybe somewhat similar to the South in America, roughly. And Give Me a Break Man, Dai-chan, US average guy, Cali boy in Japan, at least he was there, and then that Japanese girl, they all live in Kansai. I think Nagoya is Kansai. They're basically the west side. And that area is so different. And then Tokyo Zeppelin, he was in Tokyo. And I don't consider Tokyo Japan, really. I mean, it's just strange and busy and very un-Japanese in some ways. I had this one Japanese girl tell me this, and it was a huge compliment I took to heart, that I act more Japanese than guys in Tokyo. Yeah, so And actually, another cool compliment I got is from this girl in Kobe. She said that my humor style and my flow of conversation is very Kansai, and I just took pride to that because I kind of wish I grew up in Kansai instead of Tokyo area. Yokosuka is, you know, far, but anyways, I'm done ranting and vlogging. If you actually gotten this far, thanks so much for sticking around and listening to me, man. I guess I'll see you around, and hopefully I'll do more Japanese stuff if I could get around to just doing all my music work. Alright, good night, guys.